I think most people in British Columbia are of the opinion, certainly I am, that the housing crisis has for too long been pricing British Columbians out of homes and denying them opportunities to get ahead. Too many middle-income families have been unable to find an affordable home to rent or purchase, and they've been forced to leave the communities they call home or commute long distances to work. The crisis is hurting people in the economy, and it's unacceptable. So that's why in Budget 2018, we launched Homes for BC, government's housing plan, and the largest investment in housing affordability in BC's history, $7 billion over 10 years. Through this plan, we're building the homes people need and improving security for renters. Those aren't the only steps we're taking. We're also moderating housing prices by increasing supply, curbing speculative demand, and tackling fraud and money laundering in the real estate market. As part of our housing plan, the previous minister, the current Minister of Finance, launched a Housing Hub initiative to help deliver more homes for middle-income British Columbians. It's an incredibly innovative program, and I'm very proud of her work and honored to take it over after she moved to the Ministry of Finance. Because it provides profit and non-profit developers with loans with much lower interest rates than would otherwise be available. It uses government's interest rate to provide that benefit to developers in exchange for commitments to provide affordability for British Columbians. So when the developers pass those savings along to the public through more affordable rents or more affordable housing for purchase, everybody wins. When the building's constructed, they then take out traditional mortgage financing and pay back the loan. That means the money is a catalyst. It doesn't get used up. It can be loaned out again and again and again. And we're making good progress with the Housing Hub. There's more than 3,000 homes for people with middle incomes already completed or underway. These homes are part of the more than 26,000 new affordable homes completed or underway across BC under our government, but we know there's much more work to do, which is why we're here today. We're increasing our commitment and investing even more into the affordable housing game and for the long term. We will be making a significant investment so that the Housing Hub can help more families find housing. Today, we are announcing an additional $2 billion in development financing through Housing Hub to fund the building of thousands of new homes across the province, homes that middle-class families need. Within the first 3 years of this program, we expect that this program will deliver thousands and thousands of new units, more than 8,000. This borrowing program will benefit families with average annual household incomes of $75,000. These homes will help more people stay in the community where they live and work, something that everyone deserves. This financing will come in the form of low-cost loans, which our Housing Hub development partners can use to build affordable homes. In addition to providing loans with lower interest rates than would otherwise be available, the Housing Hub also helps developers reduce the time and processes that rental projects normally need to be developed. This is a revolving borrowing program. Once the loans are repaid, we will reinvest the funds back into the affordable housing market to create even more homes. We're making sure these homes delivered through the Housing Hub will remain affordable. Rents and the costs of Housing Hub homes offered for purchase will stay at or below market rates for a minimum of 10 years. It's clear that the need for affordable housing is more urgent than ever, and it's important to underline how significant this change is. Under the previous BC Liberal government, BC Housing's financing limit was kept at just $165 million. Now we're making up for lost time. Our province is getting back into housing people affordably for the long term. With our $2 billion borrowing program today, BC Housing announced today, BC Housing through the Housing Hub will now have a total of $2.8 billion to help spur new developments, 17 times what it was under the old government. This new investment helps build housing today for a better tomorrow. And I'd like to just note that there is a very significant demand for this program. BC Housing is aware of more than 10,000 units of housing across the province that will potentially benefit from this program and are interested in participating. I'd like to now invite the Minister of Finance, Selina Robinson, to say a few words. Minister Robinson, first of all, let me thank you for starting this program and for your commitment to affordable housing for British Columbians. Minister Robinson.
And I also want to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional territory of the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees and the Esquimalt nations. And I know how urgently affordable housing is needed here in British Columbia and how much of a difference this investment will make. For far too long, housing in British Columbia was viewed as a commodity and a tool for building wealth rather than a basic necessity of a home. And the simple truth is, affordable housing is life-changing. As a former Minister of Housing, I would hear time and time again from people in communities right across this province that the right type of housing was absolutely life-changing. For some, it means keeping their children in the same school so that they can keep their friends. For others, it means that they don't have to worry about stretching their hard-earned dollars even further. And at its core, it means that people can have a place that they can call home. When we first created the Housing Hub within BC Housing in 2018, we set out to build partnerships with a diverse range of partners to deliver rental housing and home ownership options for middle-income British Columbians. Today, the Hub is valued for the expertise it brings, and I want to thank the folks who work at the Hub for everything that they bring to this program. Its role as a centre for community partners and private industry to collaborate, to come together on developing new construction or redeveloping existing sites for affordable housing purposes. Through these partnerships, the Housing Hub provides low-cost financing to partners to create self-sustaining rental housing and home ownership opportunities. This means that most developments require little or no capital contribution from the province and no ongoing operating funding. Today's investment gives the Housing Hub more flexibility to carry on that important work, creating the homes that people need. The need for that work hasn't changed during the COVID-19 pandemic. If anything, it has become even more important as many families have been impacted hard. With this investment, we're taking a big step in making life more affordable while supporting the strength of our economy by ensuring that housing is available for the workers that growing businesses need. As with all of our work, we're supporting people and businesses while focusing on the health of people and communities through the pandemic and preparing for recovery. That's the work ahead of us. And that's also what we'll be laying out in our budget, which I look forward to introducing next week. Thanks. Back to you, David.
Thank you very much, Selena. Now, to talk about how the Housing Hub has benefited her community, I'd like to welcome Marla Zook, the General Manager of the Whistler Housing Authority, who's joined us today from Whistler. Marla.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I'd like to acknowledge that I am joining from the shared, unceded territory of the Squamish Nation and the Lillooet Nation. Thank you for this opportunity to participate in today's exciting and meaningful funding announcement from our provincial government. I know from firsthand experience that this new funding for additional affordable housing units will make a difference in the lives of many residents around our province. Having had the recent opportunity of partnering with the provincial government through BC's Housing Hub initiative, I can speak from actual experience on how important this financial support is to making affordable housing projects a reality in our community. The Whistler Housing Authority, a nonprofit housing developer, just opened the doors on March 1st to a new affordable rental housing apartment building that was supported by BC's Housing Hub program, and which is now providing secure, affordable housing to more than 100 residents who will be paying monthly rents at well below the average market rental rate in Whistler. Known as Granite Ridge, this housing will be owned and managed by the Whistler Housing Authority and is helping to address the need for workforce housing for young adults, families, and seniors in the community of Whistler. We hear time and again the importance of providing safe, stable, and secure housing for people who are trying so hard to make a living in our community. Significant affordable housing investments like this recent one made by the province through BC's Housing Hub are meaningful and tangible actions for making a difference in the communities around the province that are struggling with housing affordability for our local residents. I know from past presentations that Minister Robinson appreciates hearing stories from people who have been impacted by the work of our provincial government. So if I may, I'd love to share a short testimonial from a young working family who has just made Granite Ridge their new home. This family recently shared with us their experience, and I'd like to share it with you. Quote, "After discovering that our landlord was selling our 2-bedroom suite, my partner and I and our 1-year-old son were having difficulty finding affordable housing that could accommodate our growing family so we could stay in the community. When we were offered a unit in the WHA's Granite Ridge, we felt extremely grateful and relieved that we had found a beautiful new home that was $1,200 cheaper than our previous unit. This new affordable housing opportunity allows us to pay off debt, pay for the expenses related to our growing child, and to save money for a home of our own one day. In addition to this, it's great knowing that we now have stable housing that isn't going to be withdrawn due to owners selling or renovating." End quote. So looking ahead, as we move through and beyond the recovery efforts from this pandemic, diverse, secure, and economically attainable and sustainable housing opportunities for communities around the province are going to be vitally important. Thank you to our provincial government and to BC Housing for continuing to make affordable housing a priority and a commitment in our province. It is much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Marla, for joining us. We'd like to now invite the media to ask questions.
Thank you very much, Minister. As a reminder to reporters on the phone, please press *1 to enter the queue. You are limited to one question and one follow-up. First, we'll go to Katie DeRosa, Vancouver Sun. Katie?
Thank you, Minister. So will this money be in the upcoming budget, or where exactly is this $2 billion coming from?
Thank you. Yes, this is, I suppose, a pre-announcement of Budget 2021, and we're eager to get started. We've certainly, as the Minister of Housing, expressed that there's a tremendous number of projects and opportunities, and we want to invite the development community and nonprofit partners to work together with the Housing Hub so that we can get these homes built. They're absolutely critical to British Columbians.
And Katie, do you have a follow-up?
Could you give us sort of I know in the throne speech there was a hint about the investments in long-term care. While we're giving sort of budget hints, is there anything you could say about what kind of investment we expect to see in long-term care?
Well, Tuesday's just a few more days away, and I know that everyone is anxious to hear what's in the budget. And what I can tell you right now is, as a government, we have been there for people since we formed government in 2017. We're going to keep being there for people, especially through this pandemic. We have stepped up in a significant way to make sure that people's health and their safety and well-being is first and foremost in our minds. You're going to see that as well in this upcoming budget, as well as looking forward to preparing for recovery. So this is a budget that continues to take care of British Columbians as we also prepare for recovery.
And next we go to Frances Bula, Globe and Mail. Frances?
Hi, everyone. I'm on speakerphone, so I hope you can hear okay. I have two questions. One is, what is you're saying the financing helps them build more affordable. So what is the spread? Like, what do people get to borrow at compared to the private market, and how much does that save per unit? Second question, is this only available to nonprofits, or is it private developers also who have access to this financing?
Thank you, Francis. There are two streams of Housing Hub support. One is for the private development industry. These are for folks who don't need a lot of support in terms of development processes with municipalities and zoning and these kinds of things. And that is simply, as you note, it is financing, construction financing for them. It depends on their individual credit rating and their relationship with banks and financiers. But there is a significant spread, and often it can be as much as 5% or more between government borrowing and the borrowing that's available for construction financing to developers. But it's quite dependent on the individual developer. But when you look at the size of these projects, $10 million plus projects, and some well in excess of that, those numbers can add up very quickly. And that's the magic of the housing hub is the money doesn't get used up. The spread between the interest that the borrower would have had to pay without the housing hub and what they will actually have to pay because of the lending that we provide to them goes into improving affordability, and significantly so. The second stream is for nonprofit organizations, and these are churches, legions, other organizations that may own property that they wish to redevelop, but they have limited experience in developing property. Previously, they would have turned directly to the private development industry and tried to work out a partnership with a private developer. The Housing Hub provides them with an opportunity to be paired up with a consultant to go through the development process with financing to maximize the affordable housing. So when you're talking about organizations like mission-driven organizations like churches, legions, other nonprofit organizations that provide various types of charitable works, they want to have housing that's consistent with their mission and helps house people that are in their service group. And so this Housing Hub funding can really help them do that and expand what they're going to do. There are all kinds of interesting projects. There's a group of seniors that got together to buy some property and develop seniors housing on Salt Spring Island. There's all kinds of developments, initiatives like this, where the Housing Hub, through the expertise for nonprofits or organizations that are set up as nonprofits to deliver housing, can leverage BC Housing's expertise as the largest developer or one of the largest developers in North America and be able to deliver affordable housing for the communities they serve.
Thank you very much. Next, we go to Sheila Scott, CBC. Sheila?
Hi, Sheila from CTV. I just wanted to check in. You alluded to this being sort of aimed at families with sort of middle incomes. Who exactly is this aimed at? What is that range? Because some people might be asking today how this could potentially affect them if they're trying to get into a better housing situation.
Thanks. So under the Housing Hub projects delivered to date, the average household income has been about $60,000. And the program, as announced today, targets households with incomes up to $75,000.
Sheila, do you have a follow-up?
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For our final question, we'll go to Amy Smart of the Canadian Press. Amy?
Hi there. I'm wondering, is there a mechanism in here to ensure the savings are passed on to renters or residents, or how much would the developer kind of be allowed to keep as an incentive?
In order to participate in this program, the developer must be able to demonstrate that the funding is providing increased affordability. So it might be that they have existing affordable housing units and that they're deepening affordability, so the rents will be lower than they would otherwise be, or that they're adding new affordable units to an existing development, or they're building an entire development of affordable housing. Each agreement is different and unique. It depends on the particular circumstances of the particular development. Some will be affordable housing for purchase, and some will be affordable housing for rent. And so BC Housing works with the developer to maximize the public benefit. And I also want to point out that there's very significant interest in this program. There's more than 90 developments across the province currently that BC Housing has received solicitations about participating with Housing Hub funding. And so there's lots of demand and there's competition for the funding. In exchange for the funding, the developer provides a 10-year commitment around the affordability that will be delivered at the site. Obviously, if it's for purchase, that will be passed on to the initial purchaser, and if it's for rental, then the renters who are in the units will benefit from that.
Amy, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, it's interesting. Good to hear that demand. How do you determine which projects to support, and are you targeting areas where housing prices are more inflated than others?
So BC Housing will be evaluating the projects through a criteria that particularly emphasizes delivering the most affordable housing possible. So that means number of units as well as depth of affordability. So a project that delivers more units that are affordable or that delivers more affordability in terms of the cost of the unit, whether for rent or purchase, will be preferred. And they will also be looking at it through a geographic lens to ensure that the benefit of the program is distributed across the province. There's really not a community in our province that isn't facing some aspect of the housing crisis, although it looks different in different communities.